Welcome back after this short commercial break. Okay, so,
We did the old ones.
uh, so, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You can start.
Okay, so I am reading The Slingshot Secret by Benjamin Conlon. And so this book is so far very good. It's about this kid who loves a slingshot and he likes to create slingshots out of trees. And so what has happened so far is in the beginning of the book, he finds this slingshot that he's in need of one and he finds it and it has some sort of secret to it, and this book is sort of about how he figures it out. And so something that I thought that sort of like hinted at the or hinted at like the heart of the story, because the story is about a slingshot. And so I'll read you a quote that talks about how he loves the slingshot. It said, "For 3 painful hours he'd been craving a slingshot, and finally it was complete. The handle was lopsided, the surface was pinted and gouges, and one
Pitted with
gouges, and one arm was shorter than the other. I think this 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 makes me realize how much he, this makes me realize how much he enjoys the slingshots and how like that's what he likes to do in his free time."
Yeah. Okay, should I go?
Yeah.
Okay, so this book is called Feed by M.T. Anderson. And it's about this kid named Titus. And basically, it takes place in the future where like 70% of people have these things it's called a feed, which is basically like a computer in their heads that just like tells them everything that they want, and gives them things that they need. But it like you don't have to think with your feed because it'll think for you. And so it's basically about how he meets this girl who like teaches him about like, and she like wants to like get rid of the feed. It's about how they're like trying to fight the feed because it's like really bad.
Oh, cool.
So I found a quote somewhere. Okay, so he gets hacked and like his feed gets hacked by the end of the book, and but he and his friends they go back to normal really fast. So this is about how it goes back to normal as soon as it was like nothing had happened. We were watching feedcasts as if our brains had never been invaded. Loga was laughing with her front teeth showing, as if she'd never been different from the rest of us. The one that fit the feed when the rest of us didn't have it. Yeah. Okay. And everything was completely normal. So it's about how everything goes back to normal because they don't really think for themselves. Because the feed sort of thinks for them. And yeah.
Cool. Well,
So
is that all we're supposed to do?
I guess. I don't know.
Welcome back to part 2 of this episode. In part 2, we will be addressing the question, how do you decide what you read, and much more. Would you like to start this time?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Ezra, how do you decide what you read?
Okay, I usually decide what I'm going to read by either going to the library or getting recommendations from like my friends or family.
Cool. So, how I read is that I usually find books that interest me, and if I know a certain author that I like to read, I will go and look for that author in a bookstore or library. And usually, if I find like a series I enjoy, I will read more of the series.
Cool. Okay.
Okay,
Question 3.
part 3 of this episode.
What is a book from your reading history that had an impact on you? How
Ooh,
so?
I like this question. I'll start this time. Okay, so one book that has had an impact on me in my reading history is I Will Always Write Back. And I don't know if you've read that book, but it's about this boy who lives in Zimbabwe and this girl that lives in the U.S. And they start as pen pals in school. And they get to know each other through letters and their pen pals out of school, and they write to each other for many years, and then finally at the end of the book, they for um, meet each other in real life, and it's like a very um, sad but really good book, and it like just talks, and it I was able to see like how different the lifestyle is in Zimbabwe than it is in the U.S.
Yeah. Uh, so I read a book called Growing Gap, which had a really big impact on me. Just because I don't know, it's about this kid who it's a fantasy book, but he has like very like his problems that are really relatable. I don't know. It was really interesting because it was a very like different book than anything I've ever read before. And yeah.
Nice. Part 4 of this conversation.
Do you know the next book you'd like to read? What is it? Why that book?
Ooh. Okay, I will start again. Um, the next book I want to read is probably The Hunger Games, and I would like to read this book because I tried reading it in 7th grade, and I had trouble with it, and it didn't seem too interesting to me back then, and so I was kind of annoyed that I couldn't really understand it. So I'm determined to finish the book.
Nice. Okay.
What about you?
I don't really know what I'm gonna read next, but I want to read something that's not realistic fiction because that's usually the only thing that I read.
Okay. Any ideas?
Not really.
Okay. I'm wondering, what is your favorite realistic fiction book?
I don't know.
Okay. Good talk.
Okay, think about all all the years you've been reading. What stages of reading have you gone through? Has it always been easy for you? Always hard? A mixture of the two at different ages?
Gabe. So reading has not always been my first, hasn't
Cup
always
of
been my
tea?
strength. Yeah. I don't really enjoy it, and I worked very hard in my reading for a couple of years, and I enjoy it more, but it's still not my favorite thing to do.
Okay, so reading's never really been like super hard for me, but I don't know. I haven't really read very much recently just because I'm super busy. So I know I read a lot less than I used to,
Yeah,
which is sad because I really like to read.
getting as we get older, we don't really have much time to read because there are more things moving, like happening.
And like we read more in school.
Yeah. Okay, we will be back after this short commercial break. Welcome back from our quick commercial break. Okay, next question, Ezra. Why don't you start?
Why do you read? Has
I
your
read.
reason for reading changed over time?
I usually read now for more for homework. Oh my, Michael's here. Okay, where was he? Sorry. Uh, I used to read like to relax, but then as I've gotten busier over time, I sort of read for homework. And if there's a really good book I enjoy, then I'll read more.
Yeah, I usually do the same thing, except on weekends. I'll usually read a lot, just because I don't really have anything to do on the weekends. So,
Yeah, oh my, we have to hurry. Okay, next question. Let's
next
go, go,
question.
go, 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 go.
Do you think reading will be important for the future? I'm gonna answer this one. I think it's probably gonna be important in high school, just for like school.
Yeah,
But I don't really know like how if it's gonna be important after that. Unless I have a job that's not.
yeah, I think reading's going to be important no matter what because it will help you use vocabulary and you'll be able to have the endurance like to read for a while if you have to read like an essay or a long paper for school. But also reading helps with your vocabulary, and vocabulary will be helpful like when you have to start writing long papers and stuff. Yeah, that's it, right?
Yep.
You check. Wait, no. Stop. Thank you for tuning in to our webcast today. What do you want to say to the viewers?
Hi.
Okay. Thank you and have a good day. We're signing off at CBS News this evening.